or do you have the guest, Mr. Jason Colenzo? Let us know who you agree with and why. So we have running backs, we have wide receivers, we have tight ends, and we have sleepers. Holy cow. Don't go anywhere, guys, because, Answer the Call is going to give you all the fantasy advice that you need to help win your fantasy drafts. Moving right along with the top 5 running backs. Now, I started with the quarterback. I'm going to let Jason here start with his number 5 running back.
You know what? I'm excited. I've been waiting for this here. I'm going to be a homer
Oh,
a little
boy.
bit here. My number 5 is my man, Cam Scatabo, however you want to say it there, from Arizona State, playing next to Tyrone Tracy Jr. I am so excited about this guy, not just as a Giants fan, but from a fantasy football perspective. He already looks great in in
Oh,
in
yeah.
in practice right now. People are talking about him. I love the dual threat. Over 1,700 rushing yards last year, 21 touchdowns, 605 receiving yards. So if you talk about a kind of beefier CMC, here we go. Talking
Oh,
about, I put pads
oh.
on and run into telephone poles. That's what I like to hear from my New York Giants running backs. So, and the dual running backs, I know a lot of guys are always worried about, oh, who's the starter? But, look at Detroit with Sonic and Knuckles, with Gibbs
Uh-huh.
and
Yep.
Montgomery. Look at Tampa Bay with White and Bucky Irvin. So two-headed monsters in the running back position works in fantasy. You don't need just one. And especially with guys getting hurt and that kind of stuff, he's a great pickup, but I love the dual threat. He's going to catch balls. He's going to come out of the backfield. This guy's going to be a bowling ball coming down that line. Watch out. Cam Scatabo is going to be a phenomenal pickup. If you can get him, or either, mid draft, you throw a third, fourth round, someone's not paying attention. Why'd you pick him? Look, I had one of my fantasy drafts. I had 2 first round picks. I picked Scatabo in the first round because that's how much I really believe that he's going to be a
Wow.
top running back in the league because he can catch and he can run. So watch out. Here come those Giants.
You know, I have Cam Scatterbo just outside my top 5. I think he's probably like my 6th ranked quarterback or running back. Excuse me. Wow. Um. Okay, so here's the thing I like about Scatterbo, and this isn't even related to football. I love his character. So he was doing an interview, and they were talking about having a chip on on his shoulder, and they're like, you always seem to find yourself having a chip on your shoulder, and he goes, what have I proved at this level? That's right. I haven't proved anything. So
Right.
yeah, I have a massive chip on my shoulder because I still have to prove that I can do it at this level. I really respect that. And what that tells me for a running back is he's going to come in, he's hungry, and he is going to do what it takes to get this Giants team over that hump and back in the playoffs and Super Bowl runs and all that. And you got Tyron Tracy, is it? The
Tyrone
kind
Tracy
of
Jr.
the
Yeah.
dual threat scat back type, and then right there on the goal line, just rumbling, bumbling,
Yep.
stumbling, as Chris Berman would say. That is a great attribute to have, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Maybe you've been living under a rock this whole time, and maybe you don't know, but the way that you win fantasy football is you score points, and what's the quickest way to score points? Scoring touchdowns, and I think Cam Scatterbo is going to just be a bowling ball, like you said, and just and like who's going to want to tackle him late in the game? I mean, he's kind of like a mini version of Derrick Henry, not quite as big as Derrick Henry, but just like in sheer strength. You know, who's going to want to tackle him in the late third and the fourth quarter, and like when the game's on the line? I I played linebacker and D end, and I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't want to tackle him, not in the fourth quarter. So that is a good pick. Like I said, I have him just outside my top 5. My 5th ranked running back is actually a division rival, RJ Harvey, aka Quadzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw the picture at the rookie training camp, but my God, quads for days on this guy, man. And like, I just, I watched him at UCF, and, he had 20 plus touchdowns. And this past season, like, I think 1 to 3 or 4 running backs to do so. He's a underrated pass catcher. And that Broncos running back room, I mean, come on now. I mean, I feel like a high schooler could have come in and win the job there, because I don't trust, either one of those other running backs. I think RJ Harvey's going to come in. Sean Payton drafted him in the second round for a reason. There was still a lot of talent there, guys. Still a lot of talent in that second round. And Sean Payton said, hey, this is my guy. And something that, our friends over at Shovik Sports, mentioned to me in my little chat was he was studying film of Alvin Kamara and Darren Sproles. So, and he's like, I want to have that kind of impact for the Saints, or not for the Saints. I want to have that same impact for the Broncos that Alvin Kamara did for the Saints. Right. And I got to tell you, that kind of scares me. And I wish I would have heard that before I made my rankings, because he could have easily went up my board just a little bit. But currently I have him as my 5th best running back. And I mean, a dual threat, in an offense that, needs the pass catchers, because minus Cortland Sutton and Evan Ingram, they don't really have a whole lot. I mean, I know they drafted Pat Bryant, but they're always needing help out of the backfield. And with a guy with quads like that, I mean, he's going to be hard to bring down too. So,
gotcha. My number 4, we're going to talk about them Cleveland Browns again there. Quinshawn Judkins. He's only going to be behind Ford, built Ford tough, so not a lot of competition ahead of him. So possibly starting kind of running back 1 right out the gate. They got him slated for about 180 points for the whole season, which is about 10 points a game, but I could see him doing more than that. He is going to be a starter. The quarterback position, of course, is question marked, in Cleveland. So I think they're going to run the ball a lot. So Quinshawn Judkins, my number 4. I think he's going to be 6 foot, 221 pounds. So you talk about just a big, beefy kid that is going to run through that offensive line, and they're going to use him a lot, because I don't think they're going to have a really big passing game there in Cleveland. So give me Quinshawn Judkins at number 4.
That is a solid pick, my guy. Solid pick. So I have him. I'll talk about him in just a moment. But when I was doing these rankings, I'm gonna tell you 3 and 4, just kind of like a 1A, 1B. My number 4 ranking is actually his teammate at Ohio State, and that is Travion Henderson.
Wow.
And looking back now, I kind of wish I would have flipped him and put Judkins at 4. Because, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to just go ahead and put Judkins at 4.
Go for it.
I'm going to go ahead and agree. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and do that, because I actually took Travion Henderson in the first round after taking Amari Hampton in the first round. So right. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you that Judkins is the 4th best running back in this class.
The best ability right now is availability, and I think he's going to be available. And starter day 1, when you talk about running backs and getting points right out the gate, that's what I look at. Who you got for number 3?
Oh, well, I have Travion Henderson. I have Travion Henderson for number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah. I flip flopped. Judkins went to 4. Henderson bumped up to 3. The only reason I put, the only reason that I just flipped them is because Henderson doesn't really have a lot in terms of competition. Ramondre Stevenson got benched last season for fumbling the ball, and the Patriots really took him kind of early. I think they took him early in the second round. So for me, that tells me that the Patriots believe in him. And Henderson is a really good pass catching back. Now, I know that doesn't help fantasy, but that's going to help him get on the field. So the more you're on the field, the more trust you're going to earn. And honestly, Henderson could easily be a great back for 5 to 6, 7 years for your fantasy team. And, on this team that doesn't really have a whole lot of pass catchers, I know they got Stephon Diggs and they drafted Kyle Williams. But on a team that doesn't really have pass catchers, he would be really good in PPR formats, which is what
Right.
I usually play. And catching out of the backfield, he can block. Obviously, he's a very underrated runner. He's not going to blow you away. He doesn't have, blazing speed, but he has decent speed. He has 4.4 speed, which is really similar to Juckins. So for me, those two are kind of interchangeable, though. I mean, you could make an argument that they're 3A, 3B, type, kind of like the Shadur Sanders and the Dylan Gabriel earlier on in the show for you.
Gotcha. My number 3, and you talked about him earlier, is RJ Harvey. I love him in Denver. I think he's going to be a starter right out the gate. And you talked about the Alvin Kamara comparison. I think that's what's going to help is he's got Sean Payton, who has been dying for that type of running back
Oh, yeah.
to pair with Bo Nix, because Bo Nix is the man. Look, I love me some Bo Nix. I am sold on him. He is a phenomenal. That's like the second coming of Josh Allen. Big kid. He runs a lot, but they've been looking for someone to pair with him so he doesn't have to run as much. And I think with RJ Harvey there, he's going to fit the bill. He's going to fit right into that Sean Payton offense. So watch him making noise there in Mile High. I love him. I think he is probably in most drafts, even standard drafts, he's going to be a highly sought after draft pick. I think he's potential to be late first round, early second round pick, even in standard formats, because he is going to make an instant impact in that Denver Broncos team.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, instant. And hey, can't touch my Knicks, all right? Don't touch my Knicks.
Love
Bo
Bone.
Nix. So my second, and we kind of got a little off schedule, but that's okay. My second ranked running back is, I'm going to catch a lot of hate on this, and that's fine, is Ashton Genty. I know. Everybody, he's a
Whoa.
generational talent, and he's the best dang running back in the class.
Whoa.
I do want to point out something, okay? He was doing that against Mountain West Conference, okay? The Mountain West competition, so to speak. And
It was the blue
Mountain West,
field. The blue
Mountain
field
West
did it.
is not SEC talent, is not ACC talent, is not Big 12 talent, and it
No.
dang sure isn't NFL talent. So, do I think he's going to be great? Yes. Do I think that he's going to be the best back? I mean, we don't know. He went to Pete Carroll, who loves running the ball. He learned from the Marshawn Lynch days to always hand the ball off to your bell cow. But it just kind of makes me wonder, like, our team's just going to try to stack the box a little bit more. And I know that he had a habit of breaking 7, 8 tackles right at the line of scrimmage. But like I said, that was in the Mountain West where they can't tackle apparently. And this is going to be big boy football. So I want to see how he does. And so I put him at the second best quarterback or second best running back. I don't know why I keep saying quarterback. I'm stuck on quarterbacks for some reason. The second best running back in this class. And for me, he's not as good of a pass catcher as some of these other backs. And so I think that kind of, you have to take that into consideration, especially in PPR formats. And that's what this is kind of based off of is PPR and Dynasty. So I have him as my second best running back.
Wow. And I don't know if that lightning bolt behind your head has anything to do with that pick too, but my number 2 is going to be your boy Omarion Hampton. I think he's a phenomenal pick. There's a reason why the Chargers picked him in the first
Oh, yeah.
round. But the only reason I don't put him ahead in number 1 is because they still have Najee Harris, who is he's not a great running back, but he's a serviceable running back, and I think he's going to take some touches, especially early on. Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, that pass game was so sketchy last year. We'll see if getting Trey Harris is going to catch some balls for him. You got Ladd McConkey, who I love me some Ladd McConkey, man. Ladd the Impaler. I think he is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. He is going to be a stud this year. I picked him up in one of my dynasty leagues too. But Hampton, I love him. I think he's going to succeed in that offense. I just don't know if he's going to be number 1 right out the gate. I think he's going to he's going to have some growing pains with Najee Harris being in front of him.
I understand where you're getting at, and I mean, obviously, for obvious reasons, you took Genty number one, and I put Amarian Hampton at number one over Genty because I feel like he is a better pass catcher out of the backfield. He is a really good run blocker as well. But having a quarterback like Justin Herbert with Lad McConkey and now Trey Harris is going to really just kind of open up the run lanes for Amarian Hampton. Najee Harris is on a 1 year deal.
Right.
So, and he went to the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, who wants to run the ball. That's all he wants to do. He wants to smash mouth style football, run it down your throat. And I got to tell you, they have a really solid offensive line to run behind. And he's really explosive. So once he hits that hole, he's not going to burn you in the open field, but he has the explosiveness in the hole to kind of really just, get the extra yards that he needs. So for me, Amari Hampton went there because I think the surrounding cast is better in for Amari Hampton. The surrounding cast will open up the run lanes for Amari Hampton. So I have him as number one. I promise you it's not because I'm biased by any means. I will be the first one that if I don't agree with something, I'm gonna call the Chargers out. So, but Amari Hampton is my RB1.
And mine is Ashton Genty. Look, Ashton Genty fell to probably the best offense that he can fall into. When you talk about Pete Carroll, look who Pete Carroll coached there in Seattle, which was beast mode, Marshawn Lynch. So you talk about beast mode 2.0. Here comes Ashton Genty. So I think Pete Carroll's going to use him just like he did beast mode. They still are sketchy at the quarterback position. Brock Bowers, all-world tight end, who is phenomenal, the number one tight end coming out of last year. And we'll talk about tight ends here in a little bit. But I think that's why Genty's going to get a lot of touches. You have Geno Smith, who is he's not the most mobile guy anymore. So you talk about him handing the ball off. So Beast Mode 2.0, watch Genty there in Las Vegas. It's going to be his game. He is a phenomenal running back. So watch out for Ashton Genty coming out of Las Vegas.
Well said, well said. All right, that wraps up the running back segment, guys. Once again, let us know in the comments whose call you got. Do you got three from deep, Jason Colenso, or do you have your boy Tim here at Answer the Call?